and we need you to give a presentation. I didn't know if I was going to give that presentation in English or Spanish. I didn't know who was coming or what I was supposed to talk about, but I got to Las Terrenas and I found a community that was ripe for the same things, for the same type of education that we had been offering here in Cabarete and Sosua. I started developing relationships with them and exploring the idea of building a second campus. Every person that I talked to, almost every person I'll say, when I asked them if it was a good idea to expand ISLA into a second campus, they told me no. And I think most of them said it because they cared about me and they realized that I had a lot of work to do to get this Cabarete campus to where it needed to be. And for me to take my eyes off that ball and go to another campus was only going to potentially ruin both. But one of the things in the back of my head was my experience that happened back in Tanzania, which was being the founding director of a brand new school. It forced me to kind of identify what were the essential characteristics of the big campus, the main campus. What were the things that must come over and what were the things that must not come over? It forced me to develop systems, things like purchasing materials or communicating with families, real basics. And I knew that if we opened a second campus, it would really help force me and our team to identify what is ISLA and what is it not. Because after so many years of compromising and kind of watering it down and trying to get closer and closer to what maybe families who didn't understand us wanted, I really wanted to get back to the basics. And so we opened a second campus in Las Terrenas in a very similar way. 22 students on the first day, kindergarten through high school. We took all the planning and all the stuff that we did here in our Cabarete campus, and it made our teachers really articulate it in a simple way so that they could share it with the teachers there. It really made us develop strong systems and strong communication skills here. And halfway through that first school year, the whole world was hit with a pandemic, causing all of us to shut down and be forced to work from home. And it should have spelled ruin for our school, but there were several reasons that we were able to survive. Number one, we were built to be adaptable and flexible. It didn't matter what kids came in, it didn't matter what grades came in, it didn't matter what their learning needs were, we were always able to adapt. We were free to choose what we did as long as we had community buy-in. And so when we went digital, because our students had already been trained to use a lot of technology and programs in their independent learning, the transition was pretty seamless. In addition, because we were already trained on how to do project-based learning, we didn't need our students to stare at a Zoom call for 8 hours a day in order to receive education. Just like they did in our classrooms, they just needed these minor check-ins, infrequent check-ins, and they were allowed to work independently. And so for those first 3 months of the pandemic, our kids thrived and continued doing things as they had done. Over that summer, we thought the school was going to close economically. No money was coming in. No one had money to sign up for a school that they weren't going to be sure was open. But because we are an independent school and we had found this way to operate independently from government regulation, we were free to open our school with the regulations that we chose and that we could get our community to agree upon. So we opened both campuses, put our students outdoors, which is a common trait in any day, spread them out a little bit, spoke to everybody, and came up with some agreements about what everybody could reasonably do and participate in. But most importantly, I sat with a group of those founding teachers before the school year started, and once again, we prepared for our inevitable failure. We tried to set ourselves up for what would happen should people not come, or should the government tell us